You don't need to be born in an English-speaking country to master English. You don't need expensive schools, private tutors, or fancy books. What you truly need is curiosity, consistency, and courage. English is not a subject. It's a skill, a tool that opens doors to the world. If you want to learn it fast, the first thing you must understand is this. English is not learned by fear, it's learned by love. You must fall in love with the process of learning, not just the result. The fastest way to learn English is to use it every single day. Speak it, even when you're alone. Think in it, even if your sentences are not perfect. Don't wait until you feel ready. Read children's books, listen to songs, watch movies, copy lines, and repeat what you hear. Every moment you engage with the language, your brain connects new sounds, new meanings, new memories. You must make English a part of your daily environment. The more you surround yourself with it, the faster your brain adapts. When learning English, don't chase grammar at first. Grammar will come naturally once you start speaking and listening regularly. Focus on communication, not perfection. People spend years studying grammar but still cannot hold a simple conversation. Why? Because they learn the rules, not the rhythm. Language is about rhythm. When you listen carefully to English speakers, you'll feel the rhythm, the flow, the pauses, the tone. Try to copy that. Talk like a child learning to express curiosity, not like a student worried about mistakes. Mistakes are your greatest teachers. Every wrong word, every confusing moment, every sentence that doesn't sound right, these are not failures, they are signs of progress. When you make mistakes, your brain corrects itself naturally. Don't be shy, don't fear laughter, and don't give up when someone doesn't understand you. Remember, every fluent speaker was once a begiti. Finally, be patient with your journey, but impatient with your effort. Don't say, I will start tomorrow. Start now. Speak one new word today. Read one new sentence. Watch one English clip. Every little step adds up. The people who learn English fast are not the smartest. They are the most consistent. They don't stop when it gets hard. They remind themselves that English is not just a language. It's a bridge to connect with the world, to think bigger, to dream without limits. Keep pushing, keep speaking, keep listening, and one day you will look back and realize you didn't just learn English fast, you learned it with passion. If you truly want to learn English fast, you must live in it every single day. Language is not something you study for an hour and then forget about. It's something you breathe, listen to, and use constantly. Surrounding yourself with English creates an environment where your brain has no choice but to adapt. When you hear English every day, your ears begin to recognize sounds, your tongue becomes familiar with pronunciation, and your mind starts to connect meaning naturally. It's not about memorizing words from a book. It's about absorbing them through constant contact. You can make your surroundings your classroom. Change your phone's language to English, set your apps to English, read English subtitles, and label objects around your home in English. Every time you see or hear a word, your brain is quietly learning it, even if you don't realize it. When you listen to English conversations, even if you understand only a few words, don't get frustrated. Let the sounds sink in. Your brain is smarter than you think. It picks up rhythm, tone, and structure through repetition. Listen to English podcasts while walking, play English songs while cooking, or watch short English clips when you wake up. Make sure that English becomes a part of your background. And noise. The goal is not to force learning, but to create an environment where English becomes natural. The more you hear it, the faster your mind starts thinking in it. Reading is another powerful way to surround yourself with English. Start small. Read social media posts, captions, short stories, or news headlines in English. Don't worry about understanding every single word. When you read daily, your vocabulary grows without pressure. Keep a notebook of new words, but instead of just writing meanings, write full sentences. Words make sense only in context, so read how they are used, not just what they mean. The more you see words in sentences, the faster you'll be able to use them when you speak. Speaking, even when you're alone, is one of the most effective ways to build fluency. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you are doing. I am brushing my teeth. I am making tea. I am going to work. This simple exercise trains your brain to think in English automatically. It might feel strange at first, but it works. You can even record your voice and listen back to notice pronunciation or tone. When you hear yourself speaking English, your confidence begins to grow, and with confidence comes speed. Thinking in English is the key step that turns you from a learner into a speaker. Many people slow down because they first think in their native language and then translate into English. This creates delay and confusion. The faster way is to think directly in English, even if your sentences are short or simple. Start by thinking about your daily lull. Making tea. I am going to work. This simple exercise trains your brain to think in English automatically. It might feel strange at first, but it works. You can even record your voice and listen back to notice pronunciation or tone. When you hear yourself speaking English, your confidence begins to grow, and with confidence comes speed. Thinking in English is the key step that turns you from a learner into a speaker. Many people slow down because they first think in their native language and then translate into English. This creates delay and confusion. The faster way is to think directly in English, even if your sentences are short or simple. Start by thinking about your daily life in English. What will I eat today? What time is it? I feel tired. Train your thoughts to form directly in English words. This mental shift makes you faster, sharper, and more natural in conversations. To truly surround yourself with English, you need to make it part of your routine, not a task. When you wake up, read an English quote. During breakfast, watch a short English video. On your way to school or work, listen to an English podcast. Before you sleep, write a short note about your day in English. These small habits add up. The more you repeat them, the more natural English becomes to you. It doesn't matter where you live or what your level is. If you create an English-rich environment, your progress will surprise you. One secret of fast learners is they don't limit learning to study time. They make English part of life. Every time you see a sign, a product, or a video, notice the English words. Try to read aloud, mimic pronunciation, and repeat phrases. Replace idle scrolling with English content. Follow English-speaking creators on social media. Comment in English. Chat with people online. The world is full of opportunities to practice if you are willing to take them. Stealing and reading build your understanding, but speaking and writing build your expression. Use both daily. It doesn't matter if your grammar is wrong or your vocabulary is small. What matters is that you keep using English. The more you use it, the faster your brain adjusts. Fluency doesn't come from knowing every word. It comes from being comfortable with the words you already know. Every time you use English, even imperfectly, you are building fluency step by step. Surrounding yourself with English is not just about external exposure, it's also about internal mindset. You must start seeing yourself as someone who speaks English, not someone who's learning it. That mindset changes everything. When you believe you belong in the language, you become more open, more curious, and more confident. You begin to notice patterns, phrases, and expressions naturally. The more English you let into your world, the faster it becomes your second nature. Many people spend years learning English but still hesitate to speak because they focus too much on grammar instead of communication. They wait until they know every rule, every tense, every structure before they open their mouth, but that day never comes. The fastest way to learn English is to communicate without fear of mistakes. The purpose of language is not perfection, it is connection. If you can make someone understand you, you are already communicating. Every time you focus on expressing your thoughts instead of analyzing grammar, you are taking a real step toward fluency. Grammar is important, but it should not be the wall that blocks your voice. The best learners understand that they can always fix grammar later, but they must build confidence first. When you start focusing on communication, your relationship with English changes completely. You stop thinking about what's right or wrong and start thinking about how to share ideas. You listen more carefully because you want to understand, not just memorize. You speak more freely because your goal is expression, not perfection. This shift of focus brings speed because every conversation becomes practice. You don't learn by silence, you learn by using what you know. The more you speak, the more your grammar improves naturally through repetition and experience. Communication is not about big words or perfect sentences. It's about energy, emotion, and connection. When you talk with someone in English, use simple words and short sentences. Complicated vocabulary doesn't make you fluent, clarity does. Many people believe they must use long, difficult words to sound intelligent, but fluency is about flow, not difficulty. Speak naturally, the way you would in your own language. Use gestures, facial expressions, and tone to help your listener understand. This makes communication stronger than any grammatical correctness. Fluency grows faster when you stop worrying about being perfect and start focusing on being understood. Listening plays a major role in this approach. When you listen to others speak English, pay attention to how they use words in real conversations. Notice that even native speakers make grammar mistakes sometimes, but they keep talking. They don't stop to correct every small error because their goal is communication. Learn from that attitude. Don't stop yourself when you forget a rule. Replace the difficult word with a simpler one. Use your creativity to describe what you mean. Every time you successfully make someone understand, you win a small battle in your learning journey. Children learn languages very quickly because they focus on what they want to say, not how perfect they sound. They repeat, they copy, they make thousands of mistakes, but they never stop speaking. You must learn English with the same spirit. Speak first, correct later. Let grammar come naturally. Your brain is capable of learning patterns subconsciously. When you listen, read, and speak regularly, grammar begins to make sense without effort. The more you use English, the more the rules start to fit together automatically. When you focus too much on grammar, you create fear. You hesitate, you doubt yourself, and you lose confidence. Fear kills progress. Every time you hold back a sentence because you're not sure of a rule, you lose a chance to improve. Communication removes that fear. The moment you start using English freely, even imperfectly, you feel lighter. You realize that people understand you anyway. You begin to enjoy speaking. That enjoyment speeds up learning far more than memorizing grammar ever could. A practical way to focus on communication is to practice speaking with others daily. Find a language partner, join online groups, or talk to your friends in English. During everything perfectly, it's about doing something consistently. Even small actions, when repeated daily, can have massive results. 5 minutes of reading, 10 minutes of exercise, or 15 minutes of planning may not seem like much, but over time, these minutes build a mindset of control and purpose. Success begins long before people see the results. It begins in silence, in the early hours, in the small, disciplined acts that seem invisible to others. The morning tests your dedication before the day tests your skills. It's where winners are made, where dreams begin to take shape through action, and where you decide whether today will move you closer to your vision or further from it. Discipline may seem demanding, but it's the bridge between intention and achievement, between wishing for success and living it. Early hours are the golden time for learning and growth. There is something special about the silence of the morning, a stillness that sharpens your mind and clears away distractions. In those quiet moments before the world begins to rush, you have the power to focus, to absorb, and to create. The early hours carry a kind of magic that doesn't exist later in the day. The noise of the world hasn't started yet. Messages haven't flooded your phone, and your thoughts are untouched by other people's opinions. It's in this calm that your mind is most open to new ideas, to creativity, and to building the habits that define your success. When you choose to use the early hours wisely, you give yourself an advantage that most people ignore. While others are still asleep, you're growing, you're learning, you're preparing. You're setting yourself apart, not because you're luckier or more talented, but because you're more intentional. The early morning is when your brain is at its freshest and most receptive. The distractions of the day haven't yet arrived, and your focus is pure. What you feed your mind during this time has a stronger impact than at any other point of the day. Reading, writing, studying, or even thinking deeply in those hours can plant ideas that stay with you long after the day ends. Growth is not just about big actions, it's about consistent improvement. Using the early hours for growth builds a pattern of progress. When you dedicate the first part of your day to learning something new, you remind yourself that you're a work in progress, that your best self is still being built. Over time, this morning discipline becomes a powerful habit. You start each day not just reacting to the world, but evolving within it. You train your mind to seek knowledge, to question, to improve. It becomes your quiet edge, the invisible work that separates those who wish for growth from those who live it. In the early hours, there's a kind of clarity that helps you see things differently. Ideas that seemed complicated yesterday suddenly make sense. Problems that felt overwhelming appear solvable. The quiet of the morning allows you to think without interruption, to connect thoughts that get lost in the chaos of the day. It's in these moments that breakthroughs happen, not by chance, but because your mind finally has space to breathe. Many of the world's greatest thinkers, inventors, and leaders used the early hours for reflection and learning. They understood that while the world sleeps, the future belongs to those who prepare for it. The early morning is also the perfect time to nurture your mindset. Growth is not only about knowledge, it's about attitude. How you begin your day determines how you approach challenges. When you start with gratitude, self-education, or inspiration, you fill your mind with strength. You build mental armor for whatever the day may bring. Reading something positive or listening to something educational in the morning creates momentum. It shapes how you speak to yourself and how you see the world. Over time, those small inputs become the foundation of confidence and resilience. Record yourself while imitating. This is one of the best ways to measure progress. At first, you might feel uncomfortable hearing your own voice, but it helps you notice small details, where your pronunciation is off, where your tone sounds flat, where you need more expression. Compare your recording with the original speaker. You will start hearing the difference between your version and theirs. Fix those areas step by step. Each recording becomes proof of how much you're improving. Imitation also helps you understand cultural expression. In English, meaning often depends on tone and emphasis. For example, the same sentence can sound polite, funny, or angry depending on how it's said. Grammar books can't teach this, but imitation can. When you copy real conversations, you begin to understand the feeling behind the words. You don't just speak English, you sound like someone who lives it. That makes your speech more natural and engaging. Another benefit of imitation is that it trains you to think in English. When you repeat and mimic lines, your brain begins to store them as ready-made expressions. Later in real conversations, these phrases come out automatically. You no longer need to translate from your native language. The sentences just flow. This is the secret of fluency, thinking directly in the language instead of translating. The more phrases you copy and repeat, the stronger your English memory becomes. You can also practice shadowing, a technique used by many language learners. Shadowing means listening to an English speaker and speaking along with them at the same time. You don't pause the audio, you try to match their speed, pronunciation, and tone as closely as possible. This is challenging, but it forces your brain and mouth to move at the same rhythm as native speakers. With regular practice, your fluency, listening, and pronunciation improve rapidly. It's like training your brain to run at the same speed as real English. Imitation is powerful because it removes the pressure of thinking too much. When you copy someone's speech, you don't need to invent sentences or worry about grammar. You focus purely on sound and feeling. This builds instinct. Over time, that instinct helps you create your own sentences more naturally. You'll notice your accent improving, your speech becoming smoother, and your confidence growing. You begin to enjoy speaking English instead of fearing it. When you imitate good speakers, you also absorb their confidence and energy. Their tone, their way of expressing passion, their rhythm, all of it becomes part of your style. You learn not just to speak English, but to speak it with life. That is what makes people listen. Imitation gives you a model, and once you practice enough, you begin to develop your own voice from it. Every great communicator started by copying someone they admired before finding their own style. That's how mastery begins, with imitation, persistence, and passion. Learning English fast becomes much easier when you make the process enjoyable. If you treat it like a boring subject, your mind will resist it. But if you connect it with things you love, learning becomes natural. The secret is to turn English into fun, not pressure. You can use entertainment, hobbies, and interests to make English a part of your life. When you watch movies, listen to songs, play games, or read things that excite you, your brain learns faster because it's emotionally involved. You remember what you enjoy. And when English becomes enjoyable, you start to crave learning instead of avoiding it. Movies are one of the best tools for learning. Choose English films you like and watch them with subtitles at first. Pay attention to how people speak, how they express emotions, and how their tone changes. After watching once, play your favorite scenes again and repeat the lines out loud. Try to copy their pronunciation, accent, and rhythm. You'll notice that real conversations sound very different from text. Textbook dialogues. This practice improves your listening and speaking at the same time. Gradually, you can switch to watching without subtitles and challenge yourself to understand more naturally. The more you watch, the more your ears adjust to real English sounds and phrases. Music can also make learning effortless. Listen to English songs every day. Focus on the lyrics and sing along. When you sing, your pronunciation improves, your memory strengthens, and your confidence grows. Songs help you learn common expressions, slang, and sentence patterns in a fun way. Some songs are full of storytelling, which helps you understand how English expresses feelings. When you repeat lyrics again and again, you're not just memorizing words, you're building rhythm and fluency. It's one of the simplest and most joyful ways to practice daily. Reading what you love is another way to enjoy learning. Instead of forcing yourself to read heavy grammar books, pick topics that genuinely interest you: sports, technology, travel, fashion, or success stories. Start with short articles or social media posts in English. Over time, move to blogs, magazines, or simple novels. When you read for fun, you don't feel like studying, but your vocabulary expands naturally. You begin to notice how sentences are structured, how idioms are used, and how ideas flow. Keep a small notebook to write down new words or phrases you find interesting. Review them later by using them in your own sentences. Games can make learning even more interactive. Many language apps use games to teach new words and phrases through repetition and challenge. You can also play online games that involve chatting with people in English. The conversations might be simple, but they give you real experience in using the language. When learning feels like play, your mind stays active and curious. You learn without stress or fear of failure. The more you enjoy it, the faster you progress. Social media can also be your classroom if you use it wisely. Follow English-speaking influencers, pages, and channels that talk about topics you enjoy. Watch short clips, read captions, and try commenting in English. The comment section can be a great place to practice writing informally. You can also join online groups or communities where people share thoughts in English. Interaction makes learning social. And social learning is always faster because it keeps you engaged. Every time you use English in a natural setting, it becomes a little more comfortable. You can even make your daily routine fun by connecting English to your lifestyle. While cooking, watch English recipe videos. While exercising, listen to English podcasts. While commuting, read English quotes or articles. This way, learning never feels like a chore. It blends with your day. Your environment becomes a space for learning, and your time becomes productive without extra effort. Even small daily exposure makes a big difference when it's consistent and enjoyable. One powerful method to make English fun is to challenge yourself in creative ways. Set small goals like watching one English video a day or learning 5 new phrases every morning. Reward yourself when you complete them. Make it a game where each goal you achieve gives you a sense of victory. You can also compete with friends who are learning English too. Share new words, correct each other, or have short conversations daily. Friendly competition turns effort into motivation. Enjoyment also removes fear. When you have fun with English, you stop worrying about mistakes. You speak freely, laugh at errors, and keep going. That attitude speeds up learning more than any textbook can. The happiest learners are the fastest learners because their minds are relaxed and open. When you truly enjoy something, you give it time and attention without even realizing it. English then becomes a natural part of who you are, not just something you're trying to learn. When learning feels enjoyable, you no longer count hours or lessons. You simply live the language. You start thinking in English while doing ordinary things. You smile when you understand new expressions, and you feel proud when you communicate clearly. That joy keeps you moving forward faster than discipline alone ever could. Every moment of fun you create around English becomes another step toward fluency. Teaching others what you learn is one of the most powerful and fastest ways to master English. When you explain something to someone else, your brain processes it more deeply. You don't just remember the information, you understand it at a higher level. Teaching forces you to organize your thoughts, find the right words, and express ideas clearly. This practice strengthens both your speaking and comprehension skills. The moment you try to teach, you realize what you truly understand and what you still need to improve. That awareness accelerates your learning because it gives you direction and focus. You don't have to be an expert to teach. Even if you are just one step ahead of someone else, you can share what you know. For example, if you learned 5 new words today, teach them to a friend, a sibling, or even to yourself by explaining them aloud. When you repeat what you learned, your memory becomes stronger. The act of teaching transforms knowledge from short-term memory to long-term understanding. The more you share, the more confident you become in using English naturally. Teaching can happen in many forms. You can start by helping classmates, joining language exchange programs, or creating online study groups. When you discuss lessons with others, you not only practice speaking, but also learn from their perspectives. Everyone notices different things about the language, and those insights expand your understanding. Teaching creates a community of learning where progress becomes mutual. Very time you help someone understand something, you grow as well. It becomes a cycle of learning, sharing, and improving together. You can also use writing as a way of teaching. Write short posts or explanations in English about what you learned. It could be a grammar point, a useful expression, or a motivational thought about learning languages. When you try to write in a way others can understand, you automatically use simpler, clearer English. This improves your writing skills and helps you develop the habit of thinking directly in English. Posting online or journaling daily gives you an audience, even if it's small, and that pushes you to express your ideas more clearly. Explaining English to others helps you discover patterns you didn't notice before. For example, when you explain how to use a tense or a phrase, you start realizing how it actually works in real life. You begin to understand why certain words fit together and others don't. This deeper level of awareness makes your own use of English more natural and accurate. The act of teaching transforms passive learning into active mastery. It's no longer about memorizing rules, but about understanding how to use them in real situations. Teaching also builds confidence faster than any other method. When you stand in front of someone, even informally, and explain something in English, you overcome fear. You stop worrying about small mistakes and focus on communication. The more you teach, the more comfortable you become with speaking in English spontaneously. You start trusting yourself. That confidence reflects in conversations, interviews, and public speaking. Many learners feel shy about speaking English, but teaching pushes them out of their comfort zone and replaces fear with courage. You can use technology to make teaching easy and fun. Create short videos where you explain small parts of English like see, almond phrases, or pronunciation tips. Record voice notes for your friends to practice with. Start a small English chat group where everyone shares something they learned each day. You don't need to be perfect. Your effort to explain helps both you and others grow. In today's world, even teaching through small actions like comments or posts can make a big difference. Every time you teach, you are practicing speaking, writing, and thinking in English. When you teach, you also become more responsible about your own learning. You pay more attention in lessons, you listen more carefully, and you practice more often because you know you'll have to explain it later. This motivation keeps your learning consistent. It gives you a reason to study daily and makes your goals clearer. Teaching turns learning into a habit instead of a task. You stop being just a learner and start becoming a communicator who uses English actively. Another powerful part of teaching is feedback. When you teach others, they might ask you questions you don't know how to answer. That's a gift, not a problem. Those questions show you what to study next. They push you to research, to listen more, and to keep improving. This constant cycle of learning and explaining keeps your progress alive. You never get stuck at one level because you're always moving between understanding, sharing, and discovering. Teaching what you learn also gives you joy. When you help someone else understand English, you feel proud and motivated. That positive emotion strengthens your connection to the language. It turns learning into something meaningful, something that matters beyond yourself. English stops being just a skill. It becomes a way to connect, to inspire, and to lift others up. That sense of purpose makes you work harder, remember longer, and speak with more passion. The fastest learners are always those who share what they know, not those who keep it to themselves. Consistency is the real secret to learning English fast. No matter how smart or talented someone is, if they are not consistent, their progress will all woe. Ace be slow. Learning a language is like growing a plant. You cannot water it once a week and expect it to bloom. You must give it care every single day. Small daily practice builds habits that lead to fluency. 10 minutes of focused English practice every day is better than 3 hours once a week. Consistency creates rhythm, and rhythm builds fluency. It's not about doing big things once. It's about doing small things always. When you practice consistently, English becomes part of your daily life instead of a separate task. You start to think in it naturally because your brain stays in touch with the language all the time. Even short moments count. Reading a short article in the morning, listening to an English podcast while walking, or watching a short video before bed. All these moments add up. Your brain needs constant exposure to stay active in English mode. When you stop for too long, you lose connection, and it takes time to restart. That's why regularity matters more than intensity. Consistency is not about perfection. You will have days when you're tired, busy, or not in the mood. What matters is that you do something in English, even if it's small. Maybe just read a quote, repeat a few sentences, or listen to a short conversation. Those little actions tell your brain, we are still learning. Progress happens slowly at first, but when you stay consistent, it suddenly speeds up. It's like climbing stairs. You may not notice each step, but over time you reach a higher level without even realizing it. Discipline grows from consistency. Many learners wait to feel motivated before studying, but motivation is temporary. Discipline is what keeps you going when you don't feel like it. The key is to build a routine. Decide a fixed time each day for English practice and protect it like an appointment. It can be morning reading, evening listening, or lunchtime speaking. Once it becomes a habit, it won't feel like effort anymore. Your mind will automatically look for English around you, and that's when learning becomes effortless. Set small goals to keep consistency exciting. Instead of saying, I will become fluent in 6 months, say, I will learn 5 new phrases today. Instead of, I will read a whole book, say, I will read 1 page. Small goals are achievable, and each time you reach them, you feel motivated to continue. Consistency grows when learning feels rewarding. Celebrate your small wins because every step you take builds confidence. Each word learned, each sentence spoken is proof of progress. One trick to stay consistent is to mix different ways of learning. If you get bored of reading, switch to listening. If you don't feel like writing, watch a video. Keep the variety alive so your brain stays engaged. Consistency doesn't mean doing the same thing repeatedly. It means doing something related to English every day. Change your activities, but never break the chain of practice. Variety keeps your interest alive, and interest keeps consistency strong. Accountability also helps. Tell someone about your English goals. It could be a friend, a teacher, or even a study partner. When others know your goals, you feel encouraged to stay on track. You can also use reminders or trackers to mark your daily progress. Seeing your streak grow motivates you to keep going. Some people use apps, journals, or calendars where they mark each day they practiced English. It's a visual reminder that progress is happening. Missing one day may not matter, but missing many days weakens your momentum. Consistency is built on the discipline of showing up, even when results are not visible yet. Consistency also means reviewing regularly. Don't just learn new things, go back and revise what you studied before. Repetition turns temporary knowledge into permanent memory. Every few days, review old vocabulary, re-listen to past lessons, and reread earlier notes. This keeps your foundation strong and prevents forgetting. The more you review, the more confident you become in using what you know. Consistency in review is what separates fluent speakers from forgetful learners. Avoid comparing your progress to others. Everyone learns at a different pace, and comparing can destroy motivation. Focus on your own journey and your own consistency. Even if others move faster, it doesn't matter. The one who stays consistent will always reach the finish line, even if they move slowly. Comparison distracts you from progress. Consistency keeps you focused on growth. Remember that English is not a race, but a lifelong skill. Every day you practice, you are improving, even if it's not visible yet. The most successful English learners don't study for long hours. They study with discipline and repetition. They make English part of their daily habits, like brushing their teeth or drinking water. It becomes natural, automatic, and effortless. The brain loves routine, and when English becomes routine, learning accelerates. When you stay consistent, you don't need to worry about forgetting, losing confidence, or feeling stuck. Step by step, you build fluency through the quiet power of daily effort that never stops.